Hi everyone, Erin here, and today I'm going to show you how we planted 11 trees and shrubs in one day, and we were still speaking to each other by the end of the day. So this video is totally a voiceover because this was all about getting this job done. So there was just a lot of repetitive stuff. You get the idea. You dig a hole, you plant a tree, but we're going to walk through what was planted and where. And this day started with actually moving two of the Dervilla Kodiak reds that I have in this area to make room for the first shrub that I was putting in, which is Picea pungens Millbrook, which is a sort of weeping but kind of mounding weeping blue spruce. So this was in the mixed driveway screening border that we planted between us and the neighbors 2 years ago. So what I'm showing you here is that I was using the Organic Mechanics root feeding. It's called Forget About It, which are these great little feeder packs that you can just throw in the hole. And I threw those in every hole. In for the bigger plants, I put in probably 2 or 3. For the smaller ones, they just get 1. So this is me digging up the Dervillas, moving these over to behind that pagoda dogwood that's right there, just to make room for this spruce that's going to go kind of closer to us. Those have been in the ground for 2 years, and they were actually rooted out fairly nicely for 2 years. You'll see throughout this video that I broke up the root balls on pretty much everything. Not a lot, but just kind of scarified the outside of those root balls to get them in there. And I tell you, planting these sort of lower growing things is hard because you really have to tuck yourself underneath there to refill that hole. This one was not as bad as some of the ones that you're going to see coming up next. So then we moved on to a tree that I'm really excited for. This is Cornus cusa greensleeves. I love flowering dogwoods. And this hole here, which is kind of over on the edge of the woods, and this is sort of out in the grass a little bit, the only one of these trees that will remain that way, at least for now. We had a Viburnum plicata mauritii growing in this area for a long time, and it has been flagging over the years. So we pulled that out and put in this beautiful green sleeves dogwood instead. Now you'll notice here that I'm actually mixing in a little bit of the Organic Mechanic planting blend. I don't usually advise mixing soil with something else, but there are cases in which it's called for, and this is one of those. This area is, for whatever reason, almost entirely sand. So I did want to bulk up that soil a little bit more, so we mixed some of that in with the planting mix, and then quite a bit of it on top as well. Now you're not going to see me watering in absolutely everything in this video, but I assure you that every single tree and shrub was watered in thoroughly, and I don't care how much it's going to rain. I water in a tree and a shrub every single time I plant it really, really well. I think that's a really important step when you're moving that much soil around, and just to help get those things established. Moving on to the next one, we are now on the other side of the other side of our property, on the other side of this little creek that we have that kind of runs through the middle of it. And this is where we're planting the absolutely beautiful Acer shirazawanum aureum. This is a full moon maple. Now, there had been a serviceberry here, and it was a serviceberry that we bought, bare root. It didn't do too well in the first place it was at. We moved it to here. Sometimes this bed becomes the land of the misfits, and I'd like to change that, so I'm going to put really nice things in there. We moved that to a different spot because I just think this is a much better fit for that. So Mr. Much More Patient stepped in here and is digging a big hole here. The soil in every part of our yard is so different from spot to spot, and this was an area where we had some septic work done, so we actually ran into a lot of rocks in this area that we were pulling out. The soil was pretty good when you had soil, but sometimes there was a fair amount of rocks in there. So as you watch us dig lots of holes and move heavy trees around, this is a good time to mention that if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you enjoy watching it, please do. I would really appreciate that. Help me get to 150,000 subscribers. That would be amazing. So here I am demonstrating the time-tested method of how deep a hole needs to be. I stood next to the root ball, measured it on my knee, and then kept my finger on my knee and jumped in the hole because Why would you use anything else as a measurement other than your own body? Anyway, hole had to get a little bit bigger. We did put in some Organics Mechanics biochar blend. I have talked about biochar blend a lot, and I really think it's a game changer kind of soil amendment. It's one of the few things that I actually use to amend my soil here. So this one came in a wood crate, and again, I broke up those roots on the side, and some of these trees were really quite big, and fortunately, we borrowed the hand truck from work, and that helped a lot with moving some of these things around. The nice thing about these trees from Islay that were growing in these wood crates is that the root flares in almost every occasion on those the ones that were in the wood crates were perfect. So I didn't have to worry about scraping away too much soil. Everything looked really good. So of course we're doing the backfilling. Sometimes we water halfway through backfilling. It just kind of depends on the situation. Sometimes with these bigger holes, I think that can help a little bit. Then I moved on to the next plant in this area. So you can see the Orium right over my shoulder there off to the left. Here I am planting a beautiful Cole's prostrate hemlock. And this is quite a big slope here. So my hope is that this is going to kind of fall down that slope. This is a plant that I think really needs to be planted either on a wall or going down a slope. This area right here is sort of part shade. I think this is maybe a perfect spot for this plant, and I really hope it does well here. I hope it fills out that slope quite a bit. Again, really hard to backfill on these very low ones. Now we're moving on to this beautiful Monty blue spruce. And you'll see that we're actually digging a hole in the grass. That is not where this is going to stay. I'm actually changing the bed line here a little bit. So we're going to extend this bed out a little bit to suck up the Monty blue spruce within it. But we wanted to get this planted, and I didn't have time to get that part of the bed done. So we make the hole. I'll build the bed actually around this. This is such a cute little blue spruce. It's going to get like 8 feet tall and 6 feet wide in time. It's actually a nice little spot between that Orium and then off to, you can't really even see it here because it's not leafed out at all. There's a fire spire hornbeam. It's been ravaged a little bit by the deer, but I think it'll come back just fine. So that's kind of off to the right on the screen here. This kind of lands between the two of those, so it's a really pretty view from the living room of our house. Also provide a little bit of screening there as well to our neighbor's house that you see back there. Okay, now I moved on. Now we're back over on the other side of the driveway. And this is again part of that mixed hedge with the neighbors. And here I'm planting a Procumbens blue spruce. So this is a wacky ground cover blue spruce. And this area doesn't have a lot of evergreen in it. You can see that it's got a bird's nest spruce off to the left, and off to the right, I've got some of my favorite Siberian cypress over there. There's a lot of hydrangeas planted in this area. Again, nothing is leafed out here, so you can't see really any of that. But I thought that this would kind of ramble between those hydrangeas and make a really good ground cover layer here. This thing is going to get 2 feet tall max and like a spread of like 10 feet. So I have this moved in quite a bit from the driveway, so hopefully we don't have to worry about pruning it away from the driveway, but I think it would be easy enough to do if I had to. This is a totally different kind of spruce for me, so I'm kind of anxious to see how this one grows. Now, this next one is the Japanese black pine thunderhead that I got from Islay. And I had a different place in mind for this, but it's really such a cool tree that I kind of changed up the whole idea for this part of the garden that I'm at. So we're over by the road now. I've always sort of envisioned this part of the garden as entirely perennials. There's a few things in here. I've got a Jade Parade sand cherry in here and a few other things. I had not intended to put evergreens here, but I think this evergreen is going to be so cool and so fun to play with in terms of what I can do with it pruning that I actually put it in this spot. It should do very well here too. It's quite sunny in this spot. It looks rather phallic here in the ground right now. I assure you in person, it's got a much prettier shape than it looks like it does with this camera angle for whatever reason. Now we move on to the Big Daddy. This was the hardest of all of them to plant, but this is this beautiful origami maple that we got. And it's leafed out quite a bit, which made moving it a little bit difficult. Big, heavy tree, but absolutely stunning, stunning plant. I am so excited about this one. And this one is going in. Again, this is another one that once we got it, we saw it, and I changed up my mind for where I wanted it. I wanted it to be planted somewhere where we could appreciate it up close. So Mr. Much More Patient, that whole time I was planting those other things, he was digging this big hole, and this was a really hard hole to dig in this area. There's lily of the valley in here. There were some roots from some of those other trees, so we had to cut a few smaller roots and one or two bigger ones, but I think we'll be okay. And this thing was super heavy. We were going to get some help planting this actually, but we realized any machinery brought in would just ruin this garden bed so badly. It already took a beating with us walking all over it. But that happens. So this is us, trying to figure out how we're going to get this thing in the hole, right? And also figuring out which way we want to place it, because this was very much a put it in the hole once and keep it there, because this thing was super heavy. So we slide her into the hole, and this thing is standing probably 10 inches proud of that hole. We did not dig this hole nearly deep enough. So this is where we got into some discussions about, could we dig this hole deeper around it without having to take it out of the hole? There were some disagreements that happened during this part. I was actually in favor of trying to keep it because I just didn't know how we were going to get out of here. Well, at the end of the day, out it came again because there was no way to fix this. We definitely did not have this hole deep enough. I don't know what we were thinking. I should have used my my knee measurement again. So back to digging it goes. Make that hole deeper, because we're definitely not doing that a third time. This was me trying to assist getting in the hole. I don't think what I was doing was helping at all, to be perfectly honest. But we got her in the hole. We got it more or less facing the right way. I think we had to twist I think we were right on this. But you have to walk around in a circle about 4 times and talk about whether it's facing the right way or not. Get it straight. And then we could start backfilling. Now, the nice thing about this area was, other than the fact that we had to get through some top layer lily of the valley, which was a pain in the butt, the soil in this area was gorgeous soil. I mean, truly sandy loam in this soil, I would say. This is an area that was wooded for a really long time, so it's got a really nice humus layer in it. Just really, you can see how black that soil is that came out of there. That will not be the case for every tree you see in this video. So I waited intentionally to plant this one till later in the day, because I kind of knew that if we started with this one, Mr. Much More Patient might just give up on this day and not want to keep going. So with this one, we did a little bit of watering in while we were backfilling. Really wanted to, this one is super special. Just want to make sure this one was really well taken care of. Firmed it in. That was a really big root ball to manage there. Firmed it in well. Backfilled it. Now, one of the things you'll notice is we have not mulched any of these trees yet. I like to use arborist wood chips for mulch around newly planted stuff, unless they need something else specific. So we have a neighbor who just got a load of them, so we're going to go borrow some of theirs for this. So we have to go get a couple wheelbarrows full of those. So you won't see any mulching here because it didn't happen on this day. Then I had to guide Mr. Much More Patient how to get out of that bed without running over plants, so that was fun. This was the next big daddy. This is a blue spruce called Moonstone, and this was actually probably the biggest of the root balls, maybe as big as the origami. It might have actually been bigger. You can see that the hole that we have dug in this area, which is going to be part of a bed extension, so again, this won't be in the grass. I just haven't finished creating this bed extension, is almost all sand in this area. So this was another area where I definitely had to bulk up the soil with some of the organic mechanic planting mix and a little bit of biochar. We planted this one intentionally a little high because I'm going to bring that bed up a little. If you see those wires on the side, that is where the driveway lighting was. Don't worry, those were obviously not live at this time. So Mr. Much More Patient's creating a little trench here to bring those wires over so we can connect the new, very pretty landscape lighting that's going in over here. Meanwhile, I was working on backfilling this. So you might have noticed something kind of suspicious here. And I didn't notice it till I was editing this video. We forgot to take the bottom of this box off when we were planting it. I kind of had a suspicion we might have, and the video confirmed it. So actually, this plant is going to come out of the ground. We're going to pry it up and get that bottom off and correct that. We were tired after planting that origami, and I think we were getting sloppy. We just forgot to take the bottom off from that box off of this. It was pretty rotten, so it probably would have been fine, but yeah, this baby's coming out of the ground, so we can free up the bottom of this. Oops. Okay, we are getting to the end here, and you can tell we are getting tired because the holes are getting smaller. Here I am planting. This is the Jedloa hemlock. This is on the other side of the driveway. This is very much, part sun or part shade in this area, and that's going to be a beautiful one over there. And then now we're kind of across from that. This is a sunny spot now. And this is where I put in the winter sun mugo pine. I removed the ailing blue shag pine over here. We planted it somewhere else. We're going to give it another shot somewhere else. So we got that baby all watered in. And that was the end of planting for that day. So that was one of those days that was very tiring, but I felt very good at the end of the day because we got a lot accomplished on that.